So, I went ahead and said, you know what? I think my mom's friend is hot. So, I'm gonna date her. Well, turns out it was the worst mistake of my life. Let me walk you through this decision. I've made my share of mistakes, but one of them was dating Allison, my mother's friend. I was going through a hard time and she seemed to be there at the right time and I ended up dating her. But when we had broken up for a while, she showed up with a pregnancy along with crazy demands from me. But that's not even the worst of it all. Allison, female 40, was my mom's, female 60, good friend for a very long time. And she was always out of our house when I was growing up. I enjoyed her company as she always brought us cookies and have some of the best advice. And I find her kind of cute. I lost contact with her once I moved out of the house until years later when I was 25, I ran into her. I was going through a difficult time in my life, having financial struggle along with other things. I had just donated to an organization that paid me a good amount of money for my sperm, but no one in my family knew. What I didn't know was that my mom had seen the paperwork. She confronted me about it and I told her that it was just to help other people, and I lied to her about the financial problems. My mom ended up forcing me to move back home until I was financially stable, which was when I started to run into Allison again. I spent some time with her and began to feel attraction despite myself. So, even though she was my mom's friend, I started dating her as we were both single at the time. I only dated her for 1 month before I ran from that relationship because of how crazy she was. She would constantly ping my phone when I took too long to respond and would get jealous of me when I talked to any woman. Even when I went to work, she would call me all the time, and when I ignored her, she called reception. Because our relationship was so fresh, and she was my mom's friend, I did not tell her, and the plan was to just ease into it. But not even 2 weeks into our dating, she was already posting me and calling me her fiancé. She told me that she wanted to live with me within just a few days of us dating, and to be honest, it freaked me out. At first, I thought she was a very laid-back and mature person, but the more I spent time with her, the more I felt that she was just trying too hard. I felt suffocated in the relationship, and things were just moving too fast for me. I blinked once, and she was already giving me the keys to move into her house. The next thing I knew, she wanted me to give her the passwords to all my accounts. I should have left at the first sign of possessiveness, but she was a master manipulator who made me seem like the villain and made it always make her feel insecure. I tried my hardest to be a good boyfriend, but it was not hard enough, and in the end, I told her to leave me alone. My mother was not happy about the relationship with her friend, but told me that she would let me because trying to stop me would make me run back to Allison. At the time, my mother was not feeling well and had to be hospitalized for a very long time. So I guess she did not want to start drama. Allison did not take the breakup very well and told me that I was her forever love, and she had waited such a long time to be with me and I could not just leave her. By then, I was coming to my senses that the relationship was toxic and she had taken advantage of my fragile state. Not to mention the fact that she had seen me grow up and was my mother's best friend. My mom ended the friendship with her when she would just not stop stalking me. She even tried to gift me money for me to take her back because she knew I was broke, but I refused time and time again to get back with her. A few months passed and I already blocked her everywhere, but the week would not end without bumping into her. She seemed to have memorized my schedule and followed me everywhere as if she did not have a life. I did not want to open a case against her because she had kids, and I would feel bad about sending her to jail. Soon, I started to see less and less of her, and I made the wild assumption that she's just left me alone, not knowing the horrors that she had planned for me. My mom's health was deteriorating at this point, and soon she passed on. As her only child, the responsibility of her funeral fell on me and the few family members I had left. My mother was a very important member of the community, so many people came to give their condolences and to attend the funeral. But what threw me off in the middle of the service was seeing Allison enter the church and sit at the back. I instantly got anxious because my mother did not want to see her in her last days. So I pulled her out of the service immediately and asked her why she had attended when no one wanted her there. She had the nerve to start crying and telling me that she wanted to say goodbye to her old friend. I told her that she was not welcome at the funeral and that if she came near me again, I would get a restraining order against her. She told me that I would never do that because she was the mother of my child. It was like I've been sucker punched. Firstly, I was not ready to be a dad, and secondly, not a child with a mother like that. Knowing her manipulative ways, I thought that she was lying to try to get back with me, but she removed the coat she was wearing and saw for myself that there was a baby bump. It took everything within me to stop myself from fainting because that was the last thing I wanted or needed in my life. I refused to believe that the child was mine. It was merely impossible because I've taken the necessary precautions when we were together. I asked her what she wanted from me and when her obsession with me would end. She could not just show up with a baby that was not mine, but she told me that the baby was mine, and she was shocked that my mother did not tell me that she was pregnant. I said that maybe it was because my mother definitely knew that it was not my child. But Allison had DNA tests she's done on the baby with my mom, and they proved that there was a relation. I told her to leave before I called the police on her for trespassing. I did not want to believe anything that came out of her filthy mouth. All she did was lie and trap people. She left, but she told me that it's not over, and that if I did not take responsibility for my child, she would make me pay. Several things happened in the next couple of days. My mother's life insurance paid out a lot of money, and I got all of my mother's assets, including her house. Allison visited me once again and told me that since she loves me, she would give me the choice to do the right thing. She told me that I could either pay child support and a monthly allowance to her, or marry her. When I said that she knew how broke I was, she told me that she knew all about the money my mom left me, because she told her when they were still friends. Even then, I was still wondering why she took so long to come and tell me that she was pregnant with my baby. I told her that her screws were loose because I would do neither of those without proof that she was pregnant with my child. I told her the test she did with my mother did not count because my mother was not here to confirm or deny her allegations. She confidently agreed, but I was also confident that she was lying about the whole situation and just wanted to trap me. She knew that I've gotten money from my mother's life insurance and wanted to get a part of it. Or she was trying to trap me into marriage using a baby. We did the lab test and had to wait a few days for the test results. In the meantime, I decided to hire a private investigator to look into her. I was hoping that he would find out she was lying and there was more to the story than I knew. I was also traumatized by our brief relationship and nothing could make me trust her. Not after her harassment and constant invasion of my privacy over the past couple of months. This was a woman who threatened to kill herself if I did not get back to her. She was capable of anything under the sun. The test results came back, and I and my extended family were waiting for the results. They told me that if they were positive, then I had to do either one of the things Allison was demanding from me. I told them not to worry because she was lying. To my utter shock, the child was indeed mine, and it felt like my life was over. If only I could take back the month I spent with her, now she would be linked to me for the rest of my life, even though I was sure I used protection. I started to doubt myself, Now she was asking for a crazy amount of money until the child turned 18. She also wanted me to go to scans with her and pay for everything that she wanted. At the time, I was dating a girl, but as soon as told what was happened, she bolted, which I don't blame on her. The situation was insane. It seemed that no matter which way I looked at it, I was screwed. I would have rather died than get married to her, so I decided that I was going to just give her the money. I was not prepared at all to be a father. It was so overwhelming for me. I did not even know if I was able to have a relationship with my child once Allison gave birth. Remember the private investigator I hired? Well, he said that Allison was meeting up with a strange woman regularly, and there was a time she gave the woman an envelope. I did not know what she was up to, but I decided to go with her the next time she had a checkup without being announced. She was very surprised when she saw me there and looked like she wanted me to leave. But I asked to see the baby, and indeed there was a baby. I asked the doctor how far along the baby was, and the doctor told me 2 months. The problem was that I'd broken up with her over 3 months ago. I did not let her know that I was suspicious of her. I got the PI to follow the woman she was meeting up with. He sent me a photo a few days later, and it was of the woman entering the fertility clinic where I donated my sperm. She worked there, which was not a coincidence that she was meeting up with Allison. To be honest, I was not even surprised. When I found out that they stole my sperm, it made everything make sense. But what I could not figure out was how Allison knew that I was a donor when it was a secret I guarded with my life. My mother? No, my mother would never tell anyone as far as I'm concerned, but I don't know anymore. She knew about the baby, but she did not tell me all along. Was this her way of protecting me? The worst part is that she is gone, and I'll never know the answers to these questions. With just the suspicion, I laid a charge against her for theft of my sperm. Both she and Anne, the lady who helped her out, were arrested. My family tried to stop me from laying a charge, but they just did not understand. I was already mourning my mother. Now I was being betrayed in such a way. I've done what I did because I needed money, and I did not want to ask my sick mother, but now she has gone too far by using it against me. But that was the end of it now. Even though she denied bribing a medical practitioner and stealing from a medical facility, her little helper snitched on her. She told the court that she'd been paid a lot of money and promised a lot more if she stole from the clinic. Allison lost in court and started saying that Anne and I were conspiring against her. She said that she would never hurt me because she loved me. She caused such a scene by begging me to marry her because she was my one true love. The madness in her eyes as they took her away was chilling. She looked like she could fight the whole courtroom to be with me, and that made me very scared. I did not know what she saw in me or what made her so obsessed with me, but I never wanted to go through that again. The judge ordered that they should do a mental evaluation on her because of her outburst, but it did not mean she was off the hook. She did not have any mental illness, and she was just madly in love with me. But the judge was convinced that she was a danger to society and was questioning whether she would be fit as a mother. Because, well, of the severity of her crimes, she was given 6 years in prison and got 2 years, but her license was not suspended, which was part of the plea deal. As soon as she gave birth to the baby, it would be me in custody, and it would be up to me to decide what to do next. I was a bit conflicted on the hardest to support, but some of them felt that I was being cruel by sending her to prison. I know one thing, though. That child would not be safe if it was raised by her. Her own children want nothing to do with her, and claim that she's always been this crazy and overprotective of them when they're growing up. She is put under special care to make sure she does not harm herself or the baby. I've not gone to see her ever since that day, and she was sentenced. If it was up to me, they would lock her up and throw away her key. It still puzzles me that my mother did not tell me about the baby. I knew that she wanted grandkids and would not have been bitter enough to keep me from my child. Allison swore that my mom mentioned the donation to her in confidence, so I'm sure when that idea came to her, when months later, she wanted to stay in my life. I've put my mother's house up for sale now. I'm just waiting for the birth of the baby, then I'll make a decision. My biggest fear is that I will not be able to be a good father because of my hatred for Allison, and I feel the baby would be best cared for by an adoptive family. Either way, I'm going to make sure that she's no way of contacting me once she gets out of jail. Alright, so I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. That was one of the craziest stories I've read in quite some time. I'm trying to contemplate with myself if this was even a real story. Drop what you think down below. Do you think this story was real or fabricated? If it's real, let me just say, wow, that's crazy. Allison got 6 years in jail, but her actions, I think, could have got her more. Let me know what you think below. There's one more story left in today's video. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my mother because she straightened my daughter's hair? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Smash that like button. Here comes story number 2. I, female 35, and married to my husband 36. For context, we're a mixed race couple. I'm white and my husband's black. We have a daughter who's 9 named Chloe. Before I had Chloe, I ensured to learn as much as I could about how to take care of and style coily hair to prepare. Chloe, as we expected, has very thick curly hair. Her hair type is 3C. My mother, 56, occasionally has Chloe over for the day. Chloe really enjoys spending time with her grandmother, and it's nice for them to have a bond. Here's where I might be the a-hole. 2 weeks ago, my mother kindly offered to have Chloe over for a weekend sleepover, as my husband was sick with the flu and I needed to attend my friend's funeral, which was out of town. This took a lot of pressure off us and we were very grateful. However, when I went on the Sunday to collect Chloe, I was absolutely shocked. My mother had used chemical relaxer on Chloe's hair to straighten it. My mother never mentioned this to me nor asked for my permission. I asked my mother why on earth she thought this was appropriate, to which she replied that Chloe looks better with her hair straight. I did not want to have an outburst in front of my young daughter, so I said nothing and just drove her home. I asked Chloe if she liked her hair, to which she did say yes, and happily said her hair looks like Rapunzel's. Although I'm happy Chloe seems to like it, it's very evident that her hair is extremely damaged, and I'm honestly worried it could fall out, as it's already thinning a lot. We live in a rural area, so we would need to travel to get to any hairdresser who can deal with Chloe's hair type. Later that day, when Chloe couldn't hear me, I called my mother and yelled at her and told her that what she did was unacceptable and she won't be allowed to babysit Chloe ever again. My mother got extremely defensive and said that Chloe's hair looked like, quote, "it could have done with a change," and told me that I'm being a snowflake. I hung up on the phone because I was angry. My husband thinks that my mother is in the wrong and that I was right to tell her she won't be allowed to babysit again. However, my friends and siblings think that I'm overreacting and that it's just hair. And Chloe likes her new look, so I shouldn't be mad. So guys, I guess I'm asking, am I the a-hole? Let me know in the comments down below. So it turns out the comments of this story are infuriated. Let me go ahead and read one. As a black woman, I am pissed. This is not an overreaction, and in some instances would be considered assault. She had no right to do that to your child. Oh, I'm so mad. Not the a-hole. Comment number 2. My son has her daughter's hair, and I would have been livid and ripped into his grandmother for doing it. The snowflake comment took me out as well. Mom, you're not the a-hole, and I'm glad that your husband's backing you. I would seriously limit your daughter's interaction with your mom to only when you and your husband is around. Well, I think that's pretty good advice, but let me hear your opinion. Drop it down below as usual and we'll conversate about it. You know I love reading every comment. Alright guys, that's all the stories for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, it's cool to be kind. I'll catch you in the next one. The latest Mr. Reddito producer, Christine Billings. Thank you so much for the support.